Gaze reading where the greats drop by. Trendy authors tell us all the who, what, and why. Anyone can listen, cause we're spoiler free. Gaze reading, from Pulitzer stars to book club picks, where the curious minds can get their fix. So you say you're not gay, well that's okay. There's something for everyone. Gaze reading.
Hello and welcome to Gaze Reading and today's episode of What Are You Reading? I'm your host, Jason Blitman, and on today's episode, I talked to queer icon, music icon, Ani DiFranco. Who knew she was such a prolific reader? I'm obsessed. Earlier this week, I was in conversation in person with Lauren Groff at Warwick's in San Diego. That conversation was recorded, and I'll release that later this month. What else is happening? I've been talking a lot about this book festival that I'm producing. If you are going to be in Southern California or want to be in Southern California, come check out the Palm Springs Book Festival, psbookfest.org. It'll be super fun. There's a lot going on, and you're not going to want to miss it. So, yeah, if you're new to Gaze Reading, which you might be because you're here for Ani DiFranco, welcome. You could find more about us over on Instagram. We're at Gaze Reading. Our website is gazereading.com. We have a Substack, all sorts of things. And if you are coming back because you want to hear Ani DiFranco talk about books, welcome back. All right, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I'm a little slap happy and delirious and so tired, and sleeping is hard these days. I think we're all having a hard time sleeping, right? Is it not just me? It can't just be me. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for being here. You're the best. Have a great weekend and enjoy this conversation with Ani DiFranco. Ani DiFranco, welcome to Gaze Reading.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
What a fun pleasure. There are so many weird circumstances of talking to you today, this episode, when it's getting released. The episode that just dropped is with an author named Amy Jo Burns, who wrote a book called Wait for Me. And in prep, as I was getting ready to get on the call with her, I listened to the song from Hadestown.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
And she had never heard it before. And the book
Oh,
is
wow.
about singer-songwriters and what music means to you. And I was like, wait, the fact that Ani DiFranco is going to be on Gaze Reading the same week as Amy Jo Burns, who was in Hadestown on Broadway, who's a singer-songwriter. It's the weirdest moment for me right now.
So you're the mastermind of all this shit?
I guess so. Is that what's happening? Am I controlling the simulation? Is it me?
Yeah. Be merciful with me.
I don't even like video games, and I feel like that's what's happening.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I feel like gloriously that's what happens more and more every day that I'm alive. Serendipity, coincidence, what are you kidding me? Is just more and more frequent, which I hope means I'm in my flow, you know?
Do you really think it's coincidence?
No, not so much. Yeah. I think more and more spooky thoughts every day.
Seriously. And when people say to me, or when I tend to say I was lucky or these things happening to me, sure, there is luck, but people tend to remind me, you did the work, you put in the effort, you did the thing, right? And you forget all the hard work that's gone into it that's led you to a moment.
Yeah. The word karma is not just another word. It's a really deep understanding of the process of existence.
Yeah. Is that, I imagine that might be where music comes from for you?
Yeah, totally. I think I understand the creative process deeper every day as a collaboration with spirit, a real collaboration across the veil. I've fallen in love with the term gifted, that has always applied to artists and people with notable talents. And certainly on every artist's part, there's a lot of hard work. Person who's succeeding in something, it's probably not just dumb luck. you are participating, you're showing up, you're working hard, you're collaborating, but really it's the gifts that you're given when you show up, work hard, be present, collaborate, that are the truly what elevates and evolves humankind. It's spirit gifting you with things and you passing them on. And that's how I look at what I do now.
I love that so much. And I also think it's none of that is passive. And I think the instinct is that it can be, but you have to actually lean in and do the work. And it can't just happen.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. I would guess that it can just happen in a sense that you could just have a gaping hole inside you, right? We know these people, emotional, and spirit can come and fill it, right? Find you in an eviscerated state, fill you up, and it can spill over into art, into others. But to sustain that, to really make a life of being an artist, to sustain that scenario, you can't rely on that done luck for long. Then you have to start doing the work.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said you might have the hole and the spirit comes and fills the hole. But I think what I'm saying is that you need to be open to the hole being filled.
Yes, certainly.
And
Yeah.
that I think is the work in quotation
Right.
marks. Oh, it's interesting because I've been, I don't know, I think this is episode 160 something that I have, if not more. I've talked to a
Right.
lot of people on this
Yeah.
podcast. I've done a lot of conversations. I've always been a relatively extroverted, like talking to strangers kind of kid.
Yeah.
But this past year, I read a book called Talk by an author named Allison Wood Brooks, who teaches a class at Harvard about the art of conversation. And
Okay.
I was like, whatever. I, I,
I got
I
this. Yeah.
basically, I like practically do this for a living. And
Right.
I read the book and it was a master class. It made me
Mm.
think about things that I'd never thought of before or that I was almost doing that if I
Okay.
just
Yeah.
did the work a tiny bit more, it could unlock something that just was a whole new world. And so
Yeah.
I think of that, right? Like it was quote unquote happening, but no,
Yeah.
when I really put pedal to the metal and did it and did the work, then suddenly it felt more like a gift,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Cool. Yeah. Boy, my whole life, and who knows how many lives before and after, I'm
Yeah.
so fascinated by words,
Mm-hmm.
and especially the spoken word,
Mm-hmm.
because n- words are so powerful. It's the basic technology by which we have all others come. And spoken words, especially, are incantations, they're spells, they are the way that we manifest our thoughts and our ideas into the world that we see around us. They're so powerful, but so dangerous too. They have
Mm.
led us so far astray. We get into these levels of abstraction and we follow them into our own worlds and we abandon reality,
Yeah.
nature, what's the true, honest spirit. But yeah, as you were describing your experience with this book, I'm just thinking, wow, yeah, isn't that amazing? Because I totally relate to until somebody comes along with the words that illuminate your experience, what you do, how you can't fully understand it within yourself. The
Mm-hmm.
right words coming to you can help you know yourself and therefore become yourself more. And so it's like this, I'm just so fascinated by that double-edged sword of
Yeah.
words, of talking.
And so again, it's interesting that you're helping me do a beautiful segue here because this series is called What Are You Reading? And I think so many people that I talk to, because they know it's gaze reading, because I talk to a lot of authors about novels, they stress out and think what they have to talk about is a novel. I'm like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
We are reading every day, every moment. We're
Mm,
experiencing words in new and different and creative
mm.
ways that we don't even realize or think about. And what are some of those words? What have you been reading? What had you read in your history that have had that moment, that impact for you?
Oh boy. Yes, I did get the heads up that you were going to ask me about ringer.
And here
So
she is with
show and
books.
tell,
Oh my God,
baby.
so funny.
This has everything to do with what we were just talking about. Is it backwards
No,
from the
it's
death?
not
No.
backwards. No, the alphabet
The
versus
alphabet
the
versus the
goddess. The
goddess.
conflict between word and image.
Yeah. Yeah. Leonard Shlain. He's one of my all-time heroes. He's passed now. But I just think of him as I'm as you may know, a pretty hardcore feminist. I've been
What?
thinking, really, yeah, you heard it here first, people. Yeah, just been thinking a lot my whole life about patriarchy and asking the deep questions like, how did we all get here? Anyway, this fella who, when he did have a body and that wrote this book, had a penis, but I consider him one of my top feminist icons.
Wow.
This book, it speaks about the spoken word, actually the alphabet, the written language, and how the design of it is a masculine design. I'm going to do him great injustice now, right, by paraphrasing this book, but I do encourage go to the source because I'll do it injustice. But in a few sentences, the alphabet and this way we construct language, which is linear, it follows left brain logic, linear. It's the storyteller in us is our left brain. And as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of people share this sense, that is our masculine side, right? And then we have this feminine side, each of us, and our brains are like two personalities in one. We're all multi-personality. They're barely connected. They're processing independently in very different ways. So our feminine side is the nonlinear, the presence, the intuitive, the just awake side of us that has no language, no words, but can thin slice our experience and the information from our senses into exponential awareness, where the words will always stay on this sort of narrow track. Anyway, he comes with this basic premise that words are inherently masculine. So therefore, they have expressed the masculine aspect of us, which has compounded and compounded into this left brain world that can be described as patriarchy globally. But it's all about the words that sort of the medium is the message, this expression. So in this world of words, this world that was made by worlds, the masculine aspect of our identities is very much in control.
Interesting.
So, yeah, we reach through the world of words and pull up this other side of ourselves until we have equilibrium and make our decisions and our designs for society, politics, culture from that position.
Fascinating.
That's my dream for humanity. But
All right, that book
one
for
of many.
everyone. Go door to door.
Yeah, yes, totally.
Wow. That's like some
Anyway.
heady stuff.
It is super heady stuff, yeah. And this brain scientist, he was a brain scientist.
Yeah.
And got really deep with this idea of language and its relationship to patriarchy and how we can heal ourselves and balance ourselves and therefore balance our societies.
And it's so interesting because like music is a language, there are words, and you, I think, historically are really pushing the boundary of the opposite. I think lots of when I have said your name to friends in the last few days, they've all been like, yes, feminist, queer, bi, icon. Really big words that are in the pushing the boundaries of the opposite. So it's interesting just to hear you say how compelling that book is for you as you are really doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah, music, I think, is so powerful, especially that sort of music lyrics combo, because you are activating both sides of your brain deeply. Yeah, music, sound, this is all the providence of the right brain. So you have this integrated
Right.
experience and you're feeling things exponentially that way.
It's something that I talked about with Amy Jo, was how just the remembering that moment when you realize that music has power to transport you, power to make you feel things, whether happiness, sadness,
Yeah.
despair, all sorts of things. And it is science. It is brain chemistry.
Mm.
I fell down a huge internet rabbit hole of just why does music do that to you? Some of
Uh-huh.
it is the science of songwriting, and some of it is just like how our brains operate. And then when those things come together,
Yeah.
you burst into tears.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You're crying in public.
Yes, exactly. Listening to God knows what. I'm obsessed that you have tons of books behind you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. That's like a third of my books. I've given so much away. Every time I move, I'm like, "Ugh, I'm just taking these 3." But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love to read all my life.
Really?
Books changed my life so many times over. Totally.
Tell me more.
Man, I guess I learned books really early on. I remember my
Mm.
mother teaching me how to read and that being a really positive thing right away. And then my family was troubled, was troubled, and books were an escape. They were straight away right up there with music. It was a freaking spaceship to take to anywhere. So many to expand your world within yourself, even when you feel trapped without yourself. Yeah, and then I never got a college degree. I barely finished high school because I was already playing music
Yeah.
and traveling. And so, but I would say that my studies continue to this day. I loved college. I went for a few semesters and I loved that. I will always love the idea of getting in a room with people and talking about ideas and reading things together and talk your different perspectives. But I don't need school for that, really.
Yeah.
And so it's just been a life of reading for me, for sure.
I love that. So I'm curious, are there books that come to mind from your childhood that you just recall that were important to you, or that you just remember reading as a young person?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, at first it was the Black Stallion series.
Oh.
When I was a young girl obsessed with horses, as many are. Yeah, the Black Stallion. And it's funny that in my middle age, I'm in my 50s, and I'm so interested, and I've extricated myself fully from the culture I was born into Western scientific materialism and Judeo-Christian culture. So I finally arrived within myself at the awareness of, oh, I'm not my body. I'm not my name, my identity. This is a lot of the conversations that were coming up in the Spirit of Ani book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is one of many lives. Oh, I'm an eternal being of light, like we all are. And we only separate from source to have these relationships and interaction and make choices and experience consequences and thereby evolve the mind of God, because we are all God. And I have been reading and listening a lot about reincarnation, a lot about the afterlife and this and that. And one of the things I discovered recently is that horses, people have all sorts of questions that they ask those who know and have experienced such things, such as, do we reincarnate as different animals, or are humans always coming back as humans? And one person mentioned, yeah, horses have often been humans before, which I think, whoa, deep. There's a thing going on between horses and humans. What an incredibly humble life to sign up for if you've been a human, to sign up to come and be a horse
I
and
don't
be
know
at
that you're
the
signing up.
mercy of humans, seriously.
Yeah.
But a lot of us sign up for tough lives to do that work for the whole.
And it's also interesting that sort of came up in the process of writing the book, and that Black Stallion is the first book that came to mind. So the full title of the book is The Spirit of Ani: Reflections on Spirituality, Feminism, Music, and Freedom.
Just a couple
Just a
things
couple
thrown
things,
in.
a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
Get me talking.
What was that process like for you? Because this is this is not a straightforward Ani DiFranco sitting at the computer and writing a book. This is
No, yeah, the publishers at some point were pushing that. Can you just make this first person just like sit, normal book style? But myself and my co-author, Lauren Coyle Rosen, decided to stick with the format we were going with, which was it was actually her idea to engage with me about spirituality because she had read my memoir and was curious about some spiritual themes that came up in my story and wanted to drill down some more. So she proposed that we have a series of conversations and then she would construct a book out of it. Okay, sure. And then we had this series of conversations, and as the title and subtitles says, we went a lot of places in these conversations. And then I was so interested in it that we just collaboratively edited it into the book, and we kept it in this conversational style because the whole conversation starts with me saying that we are all one, that this sort of separate beinghood that we're experiencing is part of the illusion, and that we're really only here to be in relationship. And that's the game, and moving the needle towards love through these relationships. And so we thought, this book should be a relationship between two speakers, reflecting back to each other, bouncing the ball, tossing it back and forth. That felt them right for this book.
So you've written a memoir. Did you feel, how do I want to ask this? Was it easier to be open, vulnerable when someone else is asking questions, when you're engaging with somebody else versus the pressure of putting pen to paper just by yourself?
I guess for better or worse, it seems to be easy for me.
You know what? And that's true, right? You've had this experience through music, bearing your soul.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that I would ever use the word easy, but I was doing a panel discussion at a conference recently, and somebody said, is there anything you don't want to talk about? The topic of the panel was motherhood and touring artists. It was a music conference, and so they got a bunch of mothers on stage and to talk about what that's like to try to do both those things. And so it got real personal, everybody sobbing, the whole nine. But beforehand, when I was asked, is there anything you don't want to talk about? My answer was, apparently not.
You know everything.
Look at my track record. No, I don't know.
So then I guess the question really is, as a person who is so used to doing things solo, what was the process like doing something so deeply collaborative?
Oh, it really flowed with this book. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I've had these other ongoing collaborations now that are trickier and stickier and rough. But that one, I'm at the age where rushing the process and setting deadlines is because I've done that my whole life. And now I look back and go, why? In a rare instance for us humans in charge of this shit, and you still rushed yourself and pressured yourself. And so every time Lauren would send an email saying, I'm so sorry, I'm like, dude, be in your flow.
Yeah.
Go back to this project when it's right for you. And that's how we will make this thing that's the most right we can. And when it's done, and that's the universe has its eye on timing. So don't try to control it all.
Yeah, good for you. You've had the experience to learn that you can't control it all.
Yeah.
You said you were prepared and you very quickly and beautifully pulled up a book. Did you have any others piled there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, baby.
I wanted to make sure
baby.
that I heard all the ones that you have.
Yeah, just because the spirit of Ani and the topic of spirituality.
Yeah.
And so I pulled from my shelves behind me what to me are seminal spiritual texts.
Yeah,
So
tell
the
me.
alphabet versus
Oh my
goddess
God.
being one. This is a book called The Spell of the Sensuous
Oh, what a beautiful
by
cover.
David Abrams. Yeah. And I don't even know if I could describe this book. Really unlocked something inside of me in terms of the nature of consciousness and the reality of us humans being in this endemic disease of separation sickness, where we are surrounded by consciousness in all its forms, the water, the plants, the animals, let alone other humans, and we're not seeing it. We're not experiencing it. We're not aware of the full sentience, even of many of our fellow humans, let alone everything around us. And therefore, we're not in conversation, and we're off, and it's lonely, and it's desperate, and it's a really bad mode of existence. So anyway, this spell of the sensuous was a real push for me to awakening to the reality of consciousness all around me.
Interesting. You saying that makes me think I have this sitting in front of me. And so this is
Yeah,
why our cell phones and technology and
right.
not
It's not helping.
necessarily paying attention to the world around us.
Yeah, it's such a double-edged sword, of course,
Yeah.
because it's doing this incredible work of affirming the diversity. Like every kid grows up with the world in their pocket. So you can never tell a kid again that they are that they have no community, that they have no place to go, we can all go find our people now, just reaching into our pocket, and that's amazing. But boy, the dark side of the coin.
Yes, there is the dark side of the coin, of course, but in addition, something that is to me devastating is that you sort of lose other ways of connection. Again, when I brought your name up to people, the the music as a time traveler has come up a lot in conversations for me recently. And your music in particular, for so many people, is such a crazy time traveler.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite authors and friend, her name was Catherine Newman. She wrote a book called Sandwich. Big feminist. You two would get along like a house on fire. She has been in a straight presenting marriage for, I don't know, 30 some odd years, and has always identified as bisexual to the sort of regular person on the street. That just isn't what it looks like. And I think falls into the trap of people saying like, she went through a phase, or it's just something that she thinks about. So she posted something the other day that had one of your songs attached to it. And I said, oh, funny, I'm talking to Ani later this week. And she got so excited, and the idea of you being this sort of bi and queer icon meant so much to her. I texted her this morning and I said, if you have any burning questions, now's your moment. She said, I love her. Does she still wish it were the 90s? I don't, not really, but a hot girl on a motorcycle did used to pick me up from the femme theory class I was TAing, and we had raucous sex to both hands. Then we broke up to You Had Time.
Love it. Bookend.
Right, yes, exactly. But it's so funny to me because this is such a formative time in her life. And again, now reflecting back at a time that on one hand she probably misses, but also has a husband that she loves and two children and a wonderful career, right? So it I like have 8 questions bundled into this. One of them is, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to you to be this sort of icon for a generation? And I guess to her specific question is, do you wish it was still the 90s?
Yeah.
Does anyone wish it was still the 90s? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't suppose that I do. As painful as this era is, I think it's necessary to bring all of this stuff that was hidden to so many into the light.
Yeah.
And this is the way that we can finally slay that dragon. First, we have to bring it where we can see it.
Yeah, you have to encounter it to slay it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's a painful battle and much blood shed, but I think we are doing it, and I feel really hopeful. Yeah, the 90s, I think we were still living under some deeper illusions as a whole, as a society. And so one of the ways that I interacted or interfaced with the culture at the time was, there's so many people's experience had really yet to be included in the sort of discourse of culture. And so, I was showing up with an experience that was not the featured experience of the culture.
Sure,
And doing so, I think, as a part of a process. And so why am I called icon or this or that? I think because, again, just because I was tapping into the process that was happening, I was showing up, I was digging the ditches where I was told to dig by a voice that I don't even understand. And I was just taking part in the process of pushing some new entryways into culture. I was talking to somebody the other day about Me Too, that becoming the sort of name for a more modern social feminist movement. And I just was so struck when those two words rose to the top of this sort of exposing of the gender dynamic in the straight world, because I'd heard those words for decades from mostly other young women, but young queers, young political radicals, young other people who are not fond of capitalism or patriarchy or whatever. Heard those words for decades. Oh, thank you for saying that. Me too.
And you mean that in any capacity?
In any capacity,
Right.
that, when you show up to participate in the work that culture is doing, those are the words that go with it. You will get a lot of pushback. There will be a lot of trouble. But even more importantly, people are going to show up and say, me too.
And when you're brave enough to speak your truth, other people feel brave too, or other people at least feel brave to say me too.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Ani DiFranco, what a beautiful spiritual way for me to start my morning over here. This has been fabulous. Thank you for being here.
So much. The pleasure is mine.
Everyone, go get your copy of The Spirit of Ani, Reflections on Spirituality, Feminism, Music, and Freedom, from this fabulous bi and queer icon that everyone is just obsessed with. And I also need to say, I have consent from Catherine Newman to tell you that she had Raucous Sex to that song.
Perfect.
I was like, I don't need to say that part. She was like, no, this is a part of my story. I was like, yes, you've probably been a part of a lot of people's Raucous Sex and a lot of people's breakups. So.
Oh my gosh. I have to leave you with one tiny story.
Please.
You know the wonderful actress and author Amber Tamblyn?
Yes, of course.
Yes, yeah, she's a great writer. One time we were doing a book event. I think I had just released my memoir, and she had released a book of poetry, I believe it was. And so we were on this same event at Symphony Space in New York, and we were all doing our separate little readings. And then she was like, and I had my guitar there. I was supposed to play a song or two. And she was like, okay, this is weird, but do you mind playing both hands while I give a lap dance to somebody in the audience? I was like, do I mind? This is my dream.
Oh my God.
But I played both hands live while she pulled somebody out of the audience and gave them a lap dance.
Wait, it actually happened? Oh
it
my
totally
God.
happened.
That is so funny. Could you imagine if you offered a service to play live? That could be desperate times.
Oh, seriously. Thanks for the exit strategy.
Your version of OnlyFans is on-call sex music. So
oh my goodness. Love it.